Three, two, one, action. Bane, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Hey, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Well, I'm so excited to learn more about you. Tell listeners a little bit about yourself and a little bit more about Roamli.
All right, let's start from there. So, yeah, my name's Banev. Lived in Chicago my whole life, and have recently started opening up some businesses and getting involved in the entrepreneurship lifestyle, if you want to call it that.
Love it.
Started a few years ago, shortly after college. My current business partner, Brian Lee, who I met back in high school, him and I opened up an escape room up in Evanston, Illinois. And from there, we kind of grew a passion for games and businesses that engage people in a real world setting away from, TV screens, those kinds of things.
Love it.
And that kind of organically led to some of our newer adventures, like Roamli.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about what Roamli does and, talk me through that journey of, launch and how it might look a little bit different than it does today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get into what Roamli does, we can kind of take a step back and look at the start of Roamli and kind of
Yeah,
use
that would
that
be
as a
great.
springboard to see what the idea was behind it. So it all started a few years ago, back in 2017. Brian and I were on a trip in Dublin, and our tour guide, or our friend who had the itinerary, had fallen sick. And
Oh
so we were
man.
wandering around, walking around this city without really any plan or idea of what to see. And we were just talking and discussing about how there's really no app that you can just open up and suddenly see just a map full of, oh, here's a statue here, here's this beautiful historical monument here, here's this old church here, an old historic bar with some descriptions and details and photos about what these things are. You usually have to
Right.
go on,
You have to go
let's say,
on Google. You
TripAdvisor.
have to, yeah, look on all these
Exactly.
different sources. Maybe you're scrolling Lonely Planet. I don't know. There's no like single way to actually integrate that into a map.
Exactly. It's like research, it's like having to do your homework for every single time you want to take a trip. There's this big process to it. But we figured, you get into a city and there's tons of stuff to see around you, right? And it's just why put all this work into it when you can just open up the map and say, hey, let's head in this direction. There's a bunch of cool stuff here we can see. We can take some photos, we can explore, we can learn a little bit about the city in like an ad hoc way without the
Right.
need for a tour guide or any kind of intense planning beforehand. So that's where the idea for Roamli started.
I love that from your friend who had fallen ill. So, you started with this idea of, being a travel platform. How has this original idea evolved over, that 3-year period until today? Because you did found Roamli 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Awesome.
So it's right before COVID kicked off. So
Oh my
perfect
gosh.
perfect time to start off with the travel app, right?
Yeah.
When no one
Oh
can
no.
travel anywhere. But we actually found a very decent user base that was very interested in our app during the time when everybody couldn't go anywhere, because one of the great things about the app that we built, which was a mobile app at the beginning, that was exactly what we just discussed with the map and the interface, with easy to view points of interests and places you could take photos and a way to like collect points. And so we had people who, they couldn't travel, but they could walk around the city and they could open up this app and go take a photo of this and just kind of make a day of it. So it
Love that.
essentially turned their your city kind of into a playground, a place that you were going to see for the first time. Like, oh my God, I didn't know this fountain was just down the street from me. Let's go check this out and take a photo of it, or this beautiful mural that I had no idea was in this alley. And it kind of turned the city into this like scavenger hunt, like a playground. Because a city really, when you live there, you don't really go out to these places. You kind of stay the same places. You go to the work, you go to your
Right.
gym, you go to your favorite restaurants, you go to your friend's place, and that's kind of your circle, your social circle. But you don't really explore it like you do with fresh eyes when you go to like a brand new country, a brand new city.
I love that. So yeah, I live in New York City. So sometimes I say to people, hey, I live where you vacation. But when you start to live in those places, you do start to, because get so routine. So it's nice to have this app and platform as a way of, getting out of your own comfort zone. So I guess on that note, you do have a lot of users. What kind of feedback have you gotten from users, if any, and how have you incorporated that into your product build?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody who doesn't listen to the user feedback isn't really listening to the business that they're trying to build. There's a relationship, there's a give and take, and if you're not listening to the feedback from your users, you might be going down a rabbit hole of building something they don't need, that they're not
Right.
asking for, or something that, in the worst case scenario, even lowers their quality of experience with the business that you're building. And so, I mean, we take feedback very seriously. We started off and just ask questions like, "Hey, this is something kind of new. It's a new way to interact with your city. It's a new way to interact with things around you. What do you need? What don't you like? What do you like?" And a lot of the things that people were saying involved, honestly, just expanding things, making things more, maybe a little more structured. Before it was a free for all map where it was just tons of points. I remember we went around, we plotted like 500 points around Chicago, so it's a lot of things to see there. But it was really, you could go and you can wander, but sometimes people said, "Oh, hey, I want to see Lincoln Park. What are the coolest things I can see?" Or I want to, or I want to kind of make a game of it. And so people were looking for more interactive ways of participating.
Right.
Um, and we decided to, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll add this layer that allow people to go on recommended like walking tours of their city. So again, no tour guide, no nothing. You're still very much on your own. You can just walk out of your front door and just say, find a tour next to me, find a walking route next to me that'll show me points of interest, things that are important or unique around the city that I might not know are there, and then add those in. If people have had a lot of really good response to that, as well as organizations. So we first
Oh,
started with
wow.
the idea for going from business to consumer, and then we started talking to some organizations who would, some friends who were working on some projects, and they said, "Hey, this would be a really good use case." For example, like there was a mural expo that was kind of low key being put, where people were going around the city and making murals, and they said, "Hey, this would be a really good use case for this, where we can just kind of make a scavenger hunt out of it, like come find our in progress mural artists as they're going around the city and doing their work." And so they used that. They sent it over. They created a scavenger hunt in Roamli of the points of interest of those murals that they're making. Sent those over to some of their user base, some of the people that they connect with on their newsletter, and it really added to that engagement of them going through and not just seeing where these things are, but creating an interactive map for them, and then
Mm.
also allowing them to take a lot of photos, use that for social media, really kind of make a whole, like, this is the user experience. This is what it looks like going around to these murals and engaging with the artists in this way.
That's so
So
cool because you really are helping to then, build community, through your platform because, you are trying to encourage people to go to these physical spaces. So I think that's awesome. And there are so many different, use cases, whether it is that community side or, just an individual traveling. But that being said, because there are so many, different uses for your tool, what is your pricing model and how has that given you a competitive edge in this kind of space,
yeah,
if any?
um, absolutely, yeah. So our pricing model, it's gone through an evolution too, and again, that's all based off of user feedback. So pricing model wise is for a user who just wants to open up the app and explore. It's absolutely free. So absolutely free. You can open the app and you can see what people have made on this platform on Roamli, the points of interest that we've plotted, as well as points of interest that the creators have plotted. And then there's that second level where if you want to go ahead and make your own scavenger hunts, make your own walking tours, whether you're a person making a birthday party or an organization building a brew or like a tourism board building a brewery tour of their city.
Mhm.
All you do is you just sign up for our $30 a month subscription. It's the creator tier, and you get to make as many events as you want, whether the walking tours, scavenger hunts. You get access to analytics and all that good stuff, that extra layer beyond just the user base. But again, it is still very free to the user, whether it's on our web platform or if it's on the mobile app itself.
I love that. That's awesome. And again, it sounds like you again have had to evolve that model over time. So I'm sure that has been challenging. And that is one of the, hurdles you might have had to overcome. That being said, what advice do you have for other founders who might have been facing similar challenges or just any advice at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any business really that comes out today is a tech business.
Hmm.
Everything you hear, like fintech, martech, tech is slapped onto the back of every single older business that's existed for 100 years. Now it's tech heavy. Well, that's just because how it is. But the thing is, you can't go into business and say, or start a business and say, I want to build a mobile app. it's not really the right way to go about it. What you want to do is identify what you're trying to build, which is the business. Okay. And how does this business work? How does it work with the people that are going to be using it? What's the ecosystem? And then you have to figure out based off of that what the best way to actually put that in front of the user is. So it
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean don't go into thinking I want to build a mobile app. Go in, I want to build a business. What is the best tech for my business? Because really your tech approach isn't the business, it's the strategy. And so what you need to do is make sure that you know exactly what you're trying to deliver, because the mobile app might not be the best thing. Maybe you have to switch to a web platform.
Okay.
Maybe you have to switch to just really just a text-based user interface where people text your company, your servers, and they come back and they give you all the information they need. Maybe you need it as bare bones as that. You can really get creative with it and figure out the best way to kind of interact with the people that are going to be engaging with your business. Because really, tech should just be a strategy. It shouldn't be the end all be all of what you're building.
Oh, I love that, especially from someone in software. It's really interesting to hear you say that. And like with a background in software development, that's awesome. I do have that right? Like that is software development is your background.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted to make sure.
yeah.
Didn't want to be wrong there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does just, tie into what you just mentioned previously about incorporating user feedback into your build, right? Like you're trying to build a business company, whatever it is, you are incorporating, guidance from the users themselves, which I think is really important.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a mode of communication. Really, there's got to be a back and forth. Your business should talk to your customers. Your customers should talk to your business. It should be a two-way street.
I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Bane. I love this conversation. I'm super excited to share it with everyone.
No, absolutely, Victoria. Thank you so much. Anytime.